I was a lot more honest than I thought I was going to be. Should I even post it? Hello everyone, and you are very welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing a Q&A. I'm so excited. I was thinking I haven't done this in a long time, but actually the last Q&A I did was specifically about music teaching, so I haven't even done a general Q&A in... I actually don't really remember. I have a bunch of lovely questions from YouTube community tab, Facebook and Instagram that I'm going to get into. I don't think I have time to answer everything because I got quite a bunch, which I'm very thankful for. So thank you so much if you did ask a question. I'm going to do my best, but I don't want to make this video an hour long. So I don't think I'll be able to get to everything, but I am going to try my best. So I hope you enjoy this video. Thank you so much for clicking on it. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below if you want. One more thing I have to do before we get started. I gotta go get my tea. I can't chat to people without a cup of tea in the hand, so let me go get my tea and I'll be right back. Okay. Let the fun begin. That's so good. I've taken all the screenshots and I've just pulled them up on the computer here, so that's why I'm looking this way to read questions. First question I'm going to pull from YouTube, from CryoRiku. I feel like I said that wrong. Is there any particular instrument you've tried and couldn't figure out, or one you would like to learn someday? For me, it's flute. Love the sound, but I could never position my lips right to make a sound, so I stick to percussion instruments. Well, I mean, percussionists aren't really musicians. Like, kidding. I don't think I've tried enough instruments to actually like have a specific answer for that. I've always just gravitated towards the guitar, so it's the thing that I kind of stuck with the most. I do remember years ago when I was a teenager, I did work experience at a music school, and I do remember trying to blow into a saxophone, and I couldn't get the sound out. It was like there was a few of us doing it, and some people got it, some people didn't, and I tried, and I was just the sound was not coming out. I wouldn't say that I particularly tried to learn it, but that is an instrument that I could not get the sound out of. I would love to learn the saxophone, actually. I think that would be really cool because I love the sound of it. Every time I hear a saxophone, I just go, oh my God. I was actually at Riverdance the other night and there's a saxophone in the show, and as soon as I heard it I was like, oh my gosh, it's just such a gorgeous sound. It's so warm. There's lots of instruments that I love. I'd love to play the harp, I'd love to play the bodhrán, but I don't know if I actually ever will. Maybe one day. Next question from Yorick. Before you came to America, what perspectives did you have about the country in comparison to what you've seen and experienced? Well, I've lived here for 4 years now almost, and God, that's mad. And I've only been here one time before that, which was like almost 10 years ago now. I don't know, it's just like another country that you've never been to. I suppose I had some extra exposure to it because of things like TV and movies, and I don't know, I just kind of thought of it as another world, maybe? I don't know. I have a lot of like distant American relatives that I've never met, but some of them I have met, or when they came back to Ireland to visit the family and stuff, and I always thought that the accent sounded like it was much stronger in person than it was on TV. That's at least how I felt about it. I'm not really sure why that is. On TV you kind of don't really hear it that much, but in person it's like, whoa. A place I always wanted to see, especially in terms of music, because, you know, most of the music that I love comes from here. So yeah, it was really just a place I wanted to see. Miss Chatterbox. Hi Amy, I'm sorry if you mentioned this before. I was hoping you could tell us about how you became interested in and the steps you took to progress to the point you are now with your music and dance. Thanks for sharing your amazing talent with us. Oh, there's a lot in that question actually. Let me see if I can do the short version, because this is my problem. I should have said this in the beginning, but I'm also trying not to make this video too long and to answer as many questions as I can, but I talk a lot, so so this question's probably going to be a long answer. That's like a lifelong thing. So they're also two separate things. Like music and dance are completely two separate things to me in that sense. I mean, of course they you know, kind of have a lot of commonality, but in terms of my journey with them, they've been quite separate. Music has been like since the beginning, since I can remember. I loved music as a child when I was really, really small. My dad's a musician, my granddads were musicians, my great aunt was a musician, and I have like uncles and cousins, and we're just a very musical family. I suppose probably just known for being into music and playing music. So music was actually quite normal. It was just part of my life. I always loved it. It always like made me feel something. Even as a kid, it always kind of sparked, like, sounds cheesy, but it gave me like a feeling in my heart of like, oh, I just love this feeling. I just was always exposed to music. I grew up listening to great music. I grew up with my dad being a working musician, so that was quite normal for me. I loved seeing him play with the bands that he played with, so that really like sparked a thing in me of like wanting to do that too. I was 8 years old when I started piano lessons, and I did my classical grades. I did it up until like age 15, and then I took a little break, and then I went back to it again when I studied music in college. I studied music in school, like secondary school, and then I went on to get a Bachelor of Arts in Commercial Modern Music. Picked up the guitar then when I'm kind of chopping and changing in the timeline, but when I was 13, about to turn 14 that summer, I picked up the guitar, went to see Bryan Adams in Pearse Stadium, and that was like my first concert that I ever was brought to, and after that I was like, oh my god, I love guitar. And I literally went home and picked up the guitar that we had in the house at the time. And that was it. I just started playing guitar from then. Piano when I was 8, guitar when I was 13, about to turn 14, and then, you know, studied music in school, and then went on to get a degree in music. And I've also played in a band from like when I was 18, right up until I moved here, which was 4 years ago. So that's my synopsis of music. Also a lot of practice, just to like specifically point out the steps you took to progress to the point you're at. Practice. And lots of it. Dance is different because I, probably like most Irish kids, did a little bit of Irish dance in the beginning. Well, you know, some people just do it for a little while. I was one of those people. I think I did it for like a school year when I was like 8. I loved it. I just, at the time, I was a very anxious child. I didn't really enjoy the class setting, and much to my parents' dismay at the time, I did not want to do it anymore. It's something I always regretted because I did love the dance, and I've always, like since then, I've just always loved river dance. And I mean I was born in the early 90s, so I was a kid when the first river dance, like the original river dance from Eurovision, that was in 95 or 95 or 97, one of those, no, 94, whatever, the mid 90s. I was toddling when the original river dance came out. A lot of us in that time kind of fell in love with it. I had girls in my class that were doing Irish dancing, were very good at it, and I was always like a little bit envious of like, I wish I could do that, you know. It's just so cool. Also, living in Ireland at the time, I lived in a very rural part of Ireland, and it is surprisingly impossible. Adult classes are so hard to come by. In the country where it is, I don't know, I don't understand that. I remember looking at dance schools in Dublin, and they all did adult Irish dance classes, and I could not find anything in my town, or even close to my town, in my county. I couldn't find anything. So it was just one of those things that I kept trying and failing, and I'd reach out to teachers, and then they'd say, oh no, I only teach kids, I don't teach adults. And I just kept hitting roadblocks, and then I just stopped trying for a few years. And then after I moved here, I was like, right, I'm in Los Angeles, where everything, literally everything you can think of, there has to be Irish dance schools that teach adults here in Los Angeles. And I reached out to a couple, didn't hear back, and I'm so glad I didn't, because the one I found is perfect. Now I'm Irish dancing again. I've been Irish dancing for a year. I've done 2 festina. I've done 2, and I'm having a blast. I'm very much in the learning stages. I am working on it, but it's so fun. I need to move on to the next question. I'm going to make this video so long. I need to take a breath and a sip of tea. I told you, I talk too much. This tea is very good though, by the way. This is Barry's Gold Blend. Still left over from the box that I brought with me the last time I was home. Moving over to Instagram now. Like your beanie, does it come in a Beatles logo? Oh, well, thank you. I actually forgot to grab it. It's in the other room, but I'll put a picture of it. It's probably from the selfie that I posted when I asked for questions. I don't think I'm authorized to sell a Beatles logo. I think I would get in a lot of trouble if I tried to do that. Not that I've ever even thought to do that. So I'm sure there are beanies with Beatles logos, nothing to do with me. But if you like the beanie with my name on it, merch store linked below. Question from Brady. What's it like to live in America? It's great. I feel like I have two worlds. I'm still very much connected to home and to Ireland, and I go, 1 to 2 times a year. I've actually done pretty well with traveling. I'm very grateful that I've been able to make that happen. Again, it is like another world. There's so much opportunity, especially for someone who's pursuing music. I think I'm in the right place. I mean, I love it personally at the minute. I definitely go through phases where I am, just really happy and I'm doing okay, and then I go through other phases where I really miss home and I really want to go home for a while, and it kind of it flip-flops, it varies. I think I'll always have that because I'm living in a place where I wasn't born, and I think anyone who lives in the place where they weren't born or a different country, I think you'll always, depending on the person or depending on your experience, but I think you'll always kind of feel that pull, and sometimes you'll have it really strong and sometimes you'll be okay, and it's just, it ebbs and flows with life. I think it's part of the decision that I made. So, but homesickness is always going to be a thing, but I am also really happy living where I'm living, and life is great. Married life is great. If I can get home as often as I can, then I've got the best of both worlds. Oh, he's gonna chill. Oh my god, so dramatic. Just Next question is, are you married? Yes, I am married. I will be married 4 years this August, and my husband's name is Ashton. Next question from Kieran. Best finger picking song to learn on guitar? Oh gosh, there's so many. Obviously. My favorites would be Never Going Back Again, Fleetwood Mac, and Queen of California, John Mayer. Next question from Mark. Who would be your dream musician to meet? Oh, that's tricky. There's so many. I don't think there is one dream musician to meet, because I could give you a list of 20, and I realize that's probably being very cheeky to ask, if someone says you can meet one person, I'm like, oh well, actually there's 20 I want to meet. I sound like I'm asking for too much, but I suppose to bring it full circle. Oh, there's Odie. I suppose to bring it full circle, I would love to one day meet Bryan Adams, because it was his concert that inspired me to pick up the guitar in the first place. So if I were to ever meet Bryan Adams, that would be a dream come true for sure. I would really need to, if I'm to explain to him how much his music has meant to me over the years, I would really need to compose myself because I think I probably would just melt into a puddle on the floor if I ever did meet him. But I probably would put him maybe at number 1, but there's so many that come in the number 2 slot. I love John Mayer. I love Joanne Shaw Taylor, although I have actually met her and she was so nice. I was gonna say Larry Carlton, but I've met him too. I'd love to meet, John Mayer. Robin Ford, I'd love to meet. I was gonna say Tommy Emmanuel, I've met him too. Oh my gosh, such a name dropper. Oh my god. Bonnie Raitt, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I don't know if he's technically a musician, but a composer. Oh, there's so many, and I'm probably gonna think of 6 more later. Do you find it surreal? This is from Michael, by the way. Do you find it surreal that you connect with so many people during your live YouTube videos since you started the channel? Yes. Very surreal. It's one of those things that I can't think about too much, because it feels like a lot of people have watched me, but also on the flip side, my channel is still so small, so I also at the same time don't feel like it's a lot of people, but the quality of the support is incredible. I had Patreon supporters when I had 1,000 subscribers, and that I've never seen anyone else do that. So people have just been so good and so supportive, and it's crazy to me that people you don't even know in real life, like people you don't know, can support you more than people you do know. That idea is crazy to me, but I suppose that's what the internet does, and it's one of the few good things that the internet does. Allow people to connect and support independent music and independently working musicians and people. It's incredible. Because I have people that I watch when I'm having a bad day, or if I need a pick me up, or you know, if I need to be calmed down in some way. I have things that I watch and people that I watch that make me feel better. The thought of me being that for people, I can't wrap my head around at all. That's just crazy. I don't see it that way. It is crazy. I kind of can't think about it too much. Because it freaks me out. Like recently, actually, like literally this week, I had the very first time a music video, like a guitar video, hit 100,000 views on Facebook. That's never happened before. I have a couple of videos on the channel that have 100,000 views, but they are Irish vs. America videos, so it's never happened with a guitar or singing video, and it happened on Facebook this week. So I can't picture 100,000 people have seen this face sing Sultans of Swing. I can't think about it too much because it freaks me out. But, you know, making music makes me happy. Some days it's what keeps me alive in some ways. Yeah, it makes me so happy, honestly. I go live every week and I see the same names most weeks, and it's lovely to just be able to like recognize the names and kind of check in and ask, you know, people ask me questions, I ask them questions, and like just chat. It feels like just a weird little hangout. It doesn't even feel like a creator with viewers or subscribers or fans. It's just like people meet. I just happen to sing to you while we all talk. But it's great. I love it. I love it so much. Next question is from Jacqueline. Need a sip of tea. What is your biggest challenge so far? That could be social media related and expanding your reach, or simply song choice and the level difficulty. Biggest challenge so far. My biggest challenge that I've overcome in my life so far, that has ultimately then affected everything that I've done, which includes music, my relationships with people close to me, how I feel about myself, social media, making videos, even just sitting down and doing this. Learning how to manage my anxiety, because I suffered and still suffer with anxiety. And about 10 years ago, it was really, really bad. I'm not laughing to make light of it. I'm just, part of me can't believe I'm even saying this out loud on the internet. About 10 years ago, I went through it. My mental health will say completely just, it was at the lowest it's ever been. I was getting panic attacks almost daily. I was crying all the time. I was so sad. I was just sad. I was just a very sad in myself person, and it affected everything. Yeah. Panic attacks are no fun. One of the silver linings that's come out of that, I haven't had a panic attack in a few years now. I do sometimes get anxiety attacks or like pre-anxiety attacks, but I wouldn't have had a full-blown panic attack in a very, very long time. But a lot of people struggle with panic attacks, and I know how to handle a panic attack. So if someone close to me has a panic attack, I know what to do. And that's not me being a medical professional or anything. That's just me, how I want people to be with me when I had my panic attacks, which is not treat me like I'm dying, is just to literally hold my hand and help me breathe and tell me that everything's going to be okay, which might sound very simple, but a lot of people don't know how to handle panic attacks. They're like trying to talk you out of it. They keep trying to talk to you, like, tell me what's wrong. And you're like, when you're in a panic attack, you can't speak. You can't eat. You can't catch your breath. It's like, you feel like you're having a heart attack. You feel like you're dying. You don't need someone talking in your ear. Tell me what's wrong. You just need, well, this is my experience. Maybe not everyone is like this, but I just needed somebody to sit with me, like physically touch me, someone that I trusted and loved, to just sit with me and like either like hands on my shoulders or my back, or like holding my hand and just not talking to me, just being there and just you know, everything's going to be fine. Just keep breathing. You're not dying. You are safe. And just keep breathing. Just keep trying. Just keep breathing and it will pass. This is going to pass. I think that's the feeling of like anyone who deals with anxiety is like, it's just this feeling of doom around you. I'm getting emotional talking about this. Everything's falling around you. And yeah, it's a sense of doom. I got panic attacks like every day. I couldn't play music. I would physically freeze up. I couldn't speak to people. Like the wind would be just knocked out of me. Like if I had to do anything, I couldn't perform. I couldn't sing for people. I didn't play for people. I remember somebody my mum meeting someone in town or something and like asking what everyone was up to, and she was like, oh my gosh, like Amy, like she's studying music and she plays so much music, like your house must be just filled with this beautiful music all the time. And my mum was like thinking to herself, was like, actually no. She doesn't play for us, she doesn't sing, she doesn't do it around us. My anxiety basically like affected every part of my life, and overcoming that, not necessarily healing from it because I don't think it ever heals, but you do manage it and you learn how to manage it and you learn how to cope and you learn how to get yourself out of your anxious moments. So overcoming that has been my biggest challenge in my life, but it has affected my guitar playing. It's me overcoming it has allowed me to actually sing for people. I was never ever able to do that. I used to get anxiety attacks during gigs. My whole body would freeze up and I would just stop and I couldn't speak into a mic. I couldn't play. I would like anytime someone would ask me to play, or if I was at a gig, my hands would be like this and I couldn't play, and I was like, I feel like an imposter because I can't play for people because it affects your technique when you're like this. And that's how I would be all the time. It's affected everything. Now I'm able to sit down in front of you and do this. I could not have done this 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. I couldn't have done this. And now I do a weekly live show where I sing for people, and it's not a big deal for me to be like, well, you know, mostly. Still there a little bit. So it's very much in the, rather than it being like this, it's just like this over here. It's a little like smaller circle over here, but 10 years ago it was this. It just consumed everything. Oh gosh, that got very deep. I need a big gulp. Next question from Charlotte. Do you have any little rituals you have to do before you sit down to play, or can you just sit and go straight away? I actually like that question. Thanks, Charlotte. I love you. It depends on if I'm sitting down to play, like to go on a live stream, or if I'm just sitting down to play, if I'm just learning something or practicing something myself. If I'm by myself, if I'm, you know, if no one's around, if it's not if I'm not recording or streaming or live or anything, I will usually just sit down and play because it's something I'm trying to learn or something I'm trying to work on. So I usually will just sit down and just go. But if it's like for a gig or a live stream, or if I'm actually filming myself, it still feels very similar to like me filming myself to a live stream. Like not quite the same, but it's similar. I do suffer with the red light syndrome, as a lot of us do. You know, you can do something really well, and then as soon as you hit the record button, it's like, ugh. I think that's normal. That's normal. I wouldn't so much call it a ritual. It's really just like, kind of going back to answering the previous question and how deep I got. Just reminding myself to breathe. That's been the biggest thing. I would be so like caught up and like, oh my god, I don't want to make a mistake. You know, I don't want to have a panic attack. I don't want my hands to shake. You get all up in these twisted thoughts. And I remember actually it was one of my guitar teachers I had in college who was like fantastic with me, and he helped me so much. And he was the very first person that I actually like told my anxiety about, and he was the one who then like encouraged me to go to the GP and like, this is something that you can manage, like you don't have to live with this. But I remember him saying to me once, he was like, you don't breathe when you play. And I didn't even realize. He was like, you literally like, you stop breathing. And he's like, you have to like, I would literally pick up the guitar to play and I would be so in my head and so like that's what it was. So now I need to just remember myself to breathe. Sometimes I just play guitar and I don't even think about what I'm playing. I literally just play, I'll just strum chords or I'll do whatever, but I'm actually focusing on the breathing more than the playing. I actually do that as an exercise sometimes. I did it more in the past, and sometimes I still do it, but it's actually a really good exercise. Is I literally, even if it just means strumming, but it's actually like meditating really, but I'm playing and I'm meditating. So I do remember to breathe. I remind myself to breathe, and if I do feel a little caught up, I just kind of take a few breaths and try and just relax everything. Also a lot of like internal positive self-talk. It's fine, you got this, you can do this, you're gonna be great. If you make a mistake, who cares? It's not a big deal. You're a human, you're not a robot. You're not going to play everything perfectly all the time. And if it's live, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares. The people who do care don't matter. So yeah, it's just a lot of basically just like physical breathing and kind of just bringing myself down to a very calm and trying to actually enjoy it. Not like it's a thing I have to put myself through. It's just actually enjoying what I'm doing. I'm allowed to enjoy it. Funnily enough, I have to keep reminding myself. Yeah, just positive on the inside, which that might not work for other people, but that has worked for me because I was that a lot of negative self-talk fueled my anxiety, and that really was where it was coming from. It was like my inner voice was like, you suck, you're the worst, nobody likes you, you're an imposter, you're not supposed to be here, what are you doing here, put the guitar down, give it to someone else. That was consuming me, and it was a lot of that was really fueling what was, the panic attacks and the shaking and the not being able to breathe and just general misery of being sad all the time. And this voice in my head had me convinced that everyone hated me, that I wasn't supposed to be here, and it's very dark. Even my own parents don't like me, which is just not true. None of it's true, but it's just, you can convince yourself when you're not mentally well. Long story short, Charlotte, breathing and positive self-talk. Question from Suzette. How long approximately does it take to film and edit your music videos? I have always wondered about that. Oh, this actually might be the last question I have time for because I've been filming for almost an hour, so there's no way. I think this will be the final question, and it'll be a lot lighter than the last two answers, so I'm sorry about that. Let's get into technical things. That makes me happy. So how long does it take to film and edit your music videos? Okay, this completely depends on the song, what I've decided to do with the song. It depends on a lot of different things. I actually spend a lot more time in the, we'll say, pre-production stage. So by the time I even get to filming and editing, I could be practicing a song for 2 weeks. It completely depends. If it's a song that I want to do for a cover that I think that I could, if it's a song that I think I could probably do a good job with, I will usually listen to it a lot. I'll learn the lyrics if I don't know them already. I'll learn the guitar if I don't know it already. I'll just think about other things I can add, do I want to add drums and bass? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just depends. For an example, I did a cover of Horse with No Name last year, and I don't really play bass guitar. I don't play bass guitar. I play bass like a guitar player, which is not very well. I wanted to put the bass in that song because it's so cool, and it really, I think the bass makes the song, and in that moment, I didn't want to not include the bass. I spent 2 weeks learning that bass line because it's tricky and I don't play bass. By the time I get to filming, really it depends on how much time I've put in before I get to the filming point. So the more time I've worked on the song before I get to filming, the less time it takes me to film. So if I know everything really well, then I can film things pretty quickly, probably in an afternoon or a more late morning into the afternoon. It all depends on how many takes I need to do. If I've done the work beforehand, then I'll have to do less takes. If I haven't done as much, then it's going to take me longer to film it because I'll keep messing it up. I don't know it as well as I should. And that has happened to me. I have sat down to film a video and to film a song and I couldn't get it. So I just said, I can't do this today. I have more work to do. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and keep practicing, and I'll try and film it in a few days or next week or whenever. That has happened on multiple occasions. Once the filming is done, editing maybe takes me, a day. Maybe. I'm not sure how many hours specifically. Completely depends on the video. Some things are very quick, especially if it's just me and the acoustic guitar. Usually I just kind of go through the takes, pick the take I like, stick on the... that was me topping and tailing the edit. Do the outro and the Patreon credits and YouTube member credits and all that. And that'll be pretty quick. That might take me maybe you know, 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4. Usually I leave a day to edit in my head. If I've done all the pre-production work and everything is like ready and I feel confident that I can get the take, even with the red light syndrome, I'll usually, in my head, I'll block a day to film and I'll block a day to edit. I hope that answers your question. Again, it completely depends on what I'm doing, but that's probably average, how long it takes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for all of your questions. I really appreciate everyone who left a question. My dog is snoring in the background. Sorry if you can hear that. I really appreciate anyone who took time out of their day to leave a question for me to make this video. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Any follow-up questions? I can always do this again. I actually really enjoyed this. I can do more of this. So if you have anything I talked about today or anything you want to know more about or have further questions, put them in the comments. Maybe I can do a part 2 or something. Thank you so much if you watched all the way through. I really appreciate it. I'm still a baby in this game and will be for a while, so I do really appreciate anyone that is here watching. And yeah, I don't know how to say thank you, honestly, other than just saying thank you. Stay tuned for more videos coming. I'm working on quite a few. I'm looking forward to getting them done and ready for you. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and just thank you so much again for watching. All the things, subscribe, comment, like, don't forget to like the video if you did enjoy it. I'm gonna finish my tea, take a little calm down after all that, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Slán!